I have been going back and forth with somebody online, and I know some of you guys are like, Paul, why would you do that? This guy was engaging with me on a video I did about how most dads out there are living dad life. And what dad life means to them is they're not setting the standard. And, they have the beer belly, they're burnt out, they're melting into the couch. And the question that I posed was, are you finding a way through or are you finding a way out? The reason I decided to engage with this guy on social media is because he made a statement of it's not required to have a six pack to be a good dad, or you shouldn't be sacrificing your family for your fitness. It got me fired up in a good way because this is the crux of the issue that we face as men today. This guy is arguing for the bottom. He's arguing being mediocre. And this idea that being fit means you're a great dad is what I'm telling you. But this mediocre mindset of, well, I'm a good dad and I don't have six pack abs. I'm a good dad and I'm not fit. Okay. I didn't say you can't be a good dad if you're not fit, but you're not setting the standard. You can be a good dad and be overweight and be tired and melting into the couch. You can still be a good dad, but you're not a great dad. You're not a great husband. His response was like, well, what makes you think that you're right when you're sacrificing your family for your fitness? There's a reason in my program that we focus on fitness. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not a bodybuilder. In order for you to get physically fit, it starts up here. But this was a perfect example of why men continue to struggle today. Because they're being overfed, they're being overstimulated, they're being lied to that being mediocre or not fit is okay. It is definitely 100% not okay. He asked me, how do you know? It's like, because I've fucking been that guy. And you can march my kids in here. You can march. He also said, ask them what kind of man was showing up when I was overweight. What kind of father was I showing up as to my son when I was sick and overweight? Was I a good dad? Sure. But I was not a great dad. I was not setting the standard for my family. So I proposed this to him. I said, if you are overweight and you're a man and wave the magic wand and give you six pack abs, every man would take it. And the guys that say, no, you're lying. Because being fit and in shape gives you confidence. You start to walk different. You start to have discipline. When you master your body, you can start to have a disciplined mind. You can start to have a disciplined marriage. But you show up in confidence. You walk different. Maybe you start to dress different. You start to feel like how a man should feel. When I was overweight, I didn't feel confidence when I was staring back at myself in the mirror. I felt depressed. I felt negativity. I felt disgusted. And even though my family and my wife loved me, I knew I could do better. Why in the fuck are you arguing for the bottom, for the worst version of yourself? Why are you arguing to be mediocre in every aspect of your life? You can be a good dad and not have six pack, but you can't be a great dad and be a great husband and be setting the standard for your family. because when you are that guy, you can do better. You can be better. Arguing for the bottom, arguing for the least worst version of yourself, what are you doing, man? God put you on this planet to do something incredibly great with your life. But yet you guys want to come at me and say, "Oh, you're body shaming and what do you know? Oh, you're lying." Look, bro, I have nothing to hide. Go watch all my vlogs, go watch all 250 videos on YouTube. Go look at my social media for the past 3 years. I have nothing to hide. In fact, I should send this guy the video where I did a 30-minute live and I posted the worst photo of myself at my worst, overweight, everything. But this is why I do this. Because I am out to change this mindset that you guys have, right? You come into my program, we work on your psychology first. We work on you telling yourself the real truth so that you can build the body, so that you can build the marriage, so that you can set the standard, so that you can create the legacy for your family. I'll take a strong body all day, but not at the sacrifice of my family, not at the cost of my family. And what I told him was having that mentality, that story, that belief, and the habits that back up all those beliefs that you've built into accepting that mindset, you are costing your family, brother, not me. Because if I were to drag my wife in here, she would probably tell you she does not want that man that I was 10 years ago. She wants this man. Why? Because I'm better, I'm fitter, I'm healthier, I show up differently. And I even gave this guy the analogy of, hey, I'm a former firefighter. Who would you want to save your family in a fire? You want this overweight, out of shape, unconfident firefighter running in to save your kids? Or do you want the fit, the healthy, the disciplined, the consistent guy going in there to save your kids? I know what I would choose. And I take that seriously. There is no doubt you have more confidence when you are healthy, when you are fit. As long as your wife's on board and you have a sound marriage, the fitter you get, the better your marriage is going to get. She's going to see a confident man show up. She's going to see a man showing your children how they should grow up, especially if you're raising men. Did you guys know that 70% of the divorces that are filed in the United States are filed by women? We already know that first marriages are half and half, right? Ending in divorce. Well, 70% of that, 50% are women. Guys, we got to do better. We got to be better. So, yeah, my program starts with fixing your body, fixing your fitness, fixing your health. It allows you to be the man that God's called you to be. But if you're not willing to hear the other side of what you're fighting for, of be humble, blah, 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 that is a whole other episode, but we're going to touch on it here. Do you guys know what the definition is of being humble? I fucking hate this. The definition of being humble is to be the lowest version of yourself. The lowest version, which is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. You're arguing for the bottom instead of doing things every day to get you to the top. And it's not going to be my family that's costed. It's yours. By you choosing to fight for the bottom and do nothing, your family is going to suffer. Is your wife going to be part of that 70% filing for divorce? Are you going to raise overweight children that are going to have diabetes by the time they're 12 because of your bad habits? What type of life are their kids, your grandkids, going to live? What about your great grandkids? How far does this go? You're not willing to accept this truth. But for the men that are, send me a message and we can turn this around just like I did. 10 years ago, I was not the man I am today on so many levels. In the past 3 years, I've spent almost $100,000 on coaching. I've done a deep dive on me. Oh, Paul, going to the gym all the time, selfish. It's not selfish. And it's not noble sacrificing your fitness and health. Well, I just don't have time. It's not noble, bro. It's actually the opposite of what you're trying to do. You're saying, I can't be selfish and go to the gym because my family comes before me. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can try and say, I'm a good dad. I'm doing all this stuff, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. There's impact. As fathers, as husbands, as men, we have impact. And it's up to us to show up and lead. So, with that, guys, like I told you, it's got me fired up. You guys know the drill. Until next time, dominate daily.